Today, we're plugging into a critical system error that a lot of us experience, but very few of us actually understand: brain fog. And look, we're not talking about just a vague feeling here. We're talking about a diagnostic signal, a glitch in the system that's telling us something deeper as offline. Okay, let's get into it.
You know the phrase. We've all said it, we've all heard it. It's kind of our go-to way of saying, hey, my cognitive processing is lagging, or that our internal operating system is just running slow. But what if this really common complaint is actually more than just having an off day?
Because, for a huge number of people, it's not just an off day. The latest data shows that more than a quarter of all adults report experiencing brain fog. That's a staggering number, right? It really elevates this from a personal annoyance to a pretty significant public health issue.
So what are we actually talking about here? Well, medically, brain fog isn't one single thing. It's a whole collection of symptoms, things like mental confusion, poor short-term memory, trouble concentrating. For some people, it gets so severe they've actually had to quit their jobs. This is not some minor inconvenience. For many, it's a completely debilitating system failure.
Now, this is the core idea for our entire explainer, so lean in for this one. We have to stop thinking of the brain as the source of the problem. Instead, think of it like your computer monitor. When the screen starts glitching, you don't blame the screen, right? No, you check the computer, the cables, the power. Brain fog is that glitch on your mental screen. It's a signal that there's a problem somewhere else in your body's network.
All right, let's run our first system check. And we're going to start in a pretty surprising place: the gut. Now, I know, this might not seem like the obvious place to look for a cognitive problem, but the connection between our gut and our brain is incredibly direct and profound. And for a lot of people, this is where the root cause of their system error lies. So, back in 2018, researchers took a group of patients who all had two things in common. 1, unexplained gut issues like gas and bloating, and 2, significant brain fog. What they found pretty much changed the game in how we understand the link between our digestive system and our brain.
Okay, the raw data here is, honestly, it's startling. In the group that had brain fog, 68% of them had something called small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or SIBO. Compare that to just 28% in the group without brain fog. And maybe the most surprising thing, every single person in the brain fog group was taking probiotics. The study suggested that this might have actually been a key factor for them. The data is just crystal clear. The gut was basically screaming for attention.
So how does this actually happen? Well, this slide lays out the chain reaction perfectly. It all starts with SIBO. That's an overgrowth of bacteria where it shouldn't be, in the small intestine. Then when you eat carbs, those extra bacteria have a feast, fermenting them and producing this stuff called D-lactic acid. The problem is our bodies are really slow to clear this D-lactic acid, so it builds up, and it's neurotoxic. It literally gets into the bloodstream, travels to the brain, and triggers that system glitch we call brain fog.
But the gut isn't the only system that can send error messages to the brain. For our next system check, let's look at the body's defense network, the immune system. When this system misfires or gets stuck in the on position, the brain can end up as collateral damage.
I mean, just let that quote sink in for a moment. A study found that neurologists, looking at brain scans and cognitive tests, couldn't tell the difference between people with long-term mold exposure and people who'd had a mild to moderate traumatic brain injury. This isn't just about allergies. We're talking about a direct, serious impact on brain function.
So what in the world is the mechanism here? It's something called innate immune activation. Basically, your body sees mold spores, even the non-toxic kind, as a major threat, just like it would a virus. This kicks off a massive inflammatory response that doesn't just stay put. It can actually cross into your central nervous system, causing neuroinflammation and triggering those exact same cognitive problems.
And that brings us to a related kind of immune glitch: mast cell activation syndrome, or MCAS. The easiest way to think about mast cells is that they're your immune system's first responders. But in MCAS, these first responders just go haywire. They become super reactive and chaotic, releasing hundreds of inflammatory chemicals at all the wrong times and in all the wrong places.
And just look at the chaos that creates. This isn't one simple symptom. It's a total systemic breakdown. You get intense anxiety, massive bloating, weird neurological stuff like numbness and tingling, extreme sensitivities, and of course, right there in the middle of it all, severe brain fog and cognitive problems. It's a perfect example of how one little immune system error can send glitched signals to nearly every part of the body, and the brain is a major target.
Okay, for our third and final system check, we're going to look at a totally different kind of problem. See, sometimes the glitch isn't an invader or an immune misfire. Sometimes it's a fundamental change in the body's core operating environment, things like physical pressure and hormonal balance.
This slide does a great job comparing two completely different conditions that end up causing the exact same result: brain fog. So on one side, you have menopause. As estrogen goes down, the brain's ability to use glucose for energy also goes down. This creates, basically, an energy crisis in the brain. It's like trying to run complex software on a low battery. Then on the other side, you have something like idiopathic intracranial hypertension, where there's just too much physical pressure inside the skull, which disrupts brain function. Two totally different sources, one common error message.
And here's the crucial point. These are not issues that you can solve with more sleep or less stress. They represent fundamental, physiological shifts in the brain's actual environment. Whether it's a lack of fuel, like in menopause, or too much physical pressure, like an IIH, the brain's ability to operate normally is compromised at a really basic level.
So after running all these system diagnostics, what have we learned? Well, we've seen that brain fog isn't just some vague, mysterious feeling that we have to put up with. No, it's a specific signal. It's a decodable message that's telling us to look deeper at how our body's systems are all connected. And if you remember one thing from this whole explainer, please let it be this. Brain fog is not the problem itself. It is a symptom. It is a critical error message telling you that something, somewhere, in your gut, your immune system, your core hormonal environment, is not working right.
And hey, this perspective isn't just theoretical, it's driving real change. I mean, look at this call to action from a recent public health commentary. The medical community is mobilizing. They are calling for a better definition of brain fog, for research that looks across different disciplines, and for new guidelines to help doctors actually investigate the root cause. The whole focus is shifting from just managing the symptom to treating the underlying system failure.
So, we'll leave you with this question. The next time you feel that fog rolling in, don't just write it off as a bad day. See it for what it truly is: a data point, a signal. And ask yourself, which one of my body's systems is trying to get my attention?